everybody, this is Chase Petiche, and I'm here with a weekly message about the coronavirus, the pandemic that is happening. And the post this week is, why is this happening? And it goes on further to say, basically, how can we ride the pandemic wave that is happening? How can we ride this wave instead of getting completely bulldozed by it? So, we're coming into a period where we're having this wave of illness, right? It's the virus that is creating illness, and it's sparking a fear. And, but it's really just, this virus is acting in accordance with nature. It's kind of creating a wave that is expanding, throughout the world. And a wave is a cycle. It's an elliptical cycle, right? And it's how the universe works. It's the patterning of our universe. And so the wave will reach its peak and then it will decline. It's not going to last forever. And what we can do to try to ground ourselves and work with this energy is to figure out how we can ride it versus it riding us. So there's a few things I want to say about this. So first of all, I believe, as I've just gotten my own downloads with all of this, and I believe, as somebody that studied sustainable communities, I have a master's degree in sustainable communities. I ended up focusing on consciousness and social change, but I studied all the things that could potentially happen, that are happening to the earth. And one of the things I came out with is that we are in a time where we are so imbalanced on this planet with a culture that is so based in rationality, doing this masculine, we have this masculine feminine energy, right? That is the Tao, that is the yin and the yang. And we've been so in the masculine with this doing, we're missing that internal interconnected heart connection. We're missing the connection with nature. And we still have this idea as humans, maybe not you seeing this, but a lot of people in power, that we are not one, that we are disconnected somehow from the animals, from the earth, from the trees, from the bees. And so it has created this situation where man has dominated nature. And what has happened is we've become incredibly imbalanced. And because of this lack of empathy, lack of acknowledgement of this interconnection, the planet is at a point where it's reaching a tipping point and it's starting to self-regulate. It's regulating itself. It's regulating itself through fire. It's regulating itself through virus. It's regulating itself through tornadoes, towards all kinds of things. That's what climate change is. Humans have affected the natural rhythm so much so that the earth, the energy of the earth is now coming in to regulate itself like its own healthy organism that it is, okay? So that's one way of looking at this. Of course, that doesn't make it any easier when we have people that we know who may have coronavirus, or we know people who are suffering, but that's one way of taking the broad view of looking at, okay, this is why this is happening, okay? This is one way that this energy of the planet is starting to become released. Because what has happened in 2020 is that we have hit a astrological conjunction that is very, very, very potent. It's a transit, and it's a Pluto and Saturn conjunction, okay? And I don't talk about transits that much unless they're really pivotal, and this is extremely pivotal because this energy has lined up with everything that basically started off 2020. And there's so much happening right now. Coronavirus is what we're thinking about, but there's also, Bernie Sanders, this energy of revolution, change, radical change that is coming into our government. There's all these, we started 2020 off with, possibly going into World War III with Iran, and there's just so much chaos, right? And so what I want to do is kind of ground that. What it's doing is it's bringing us face to face, us humans in our own personal lives, with things that we cannot control. And, that is what the masculine, this doing energy, has done to all of us that has been so based in the rational is that it's given us the illusion and it's made us feel safe to think that we can control our reality. What we're getting shown right now is that we cannot. And I think what is happening more than anything is that humans, especially Americans, we are so used to having everything under control that when things are out of our control, we do not know what to do, and it causes utter fear, utter panic, utter crisis. Because ultimately, that's why we try to keep things under control, right? It gives us a sense of safety. I think makes us feel like we are handling things, like we know what to expect, right? And so what I'm here to do in this video is to introduce a new potential way that maybe you could start looking at the universe, start looking at your life, which is a little bit different than placing the human doing, constantly the exhausted idea that the human doing is what we are doing to create our lives, is how we maintain our reality. Instead, starting to open ourselves up to this truth, this deep truth. And I just want you to take this in for a second if you can, that there is a higher benevolent flow that is love. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it the divine, you can call it spirit, you can call it whatever you want, but there is a cosmic flow. There is a divine flow that is based in love. And right now, if we can begin to open up to that truth, what will begin to happen is as we are beginning to come face to face time and time again with things that are out of our control, we can start to lean, trust, hold on, believe in something deeper than ourselves, and allow ourselves to begin to surrender to this wave of change and revolution that is upon us, versus white knuckling it, feeling extreme fear, panic, and making it harder and harder for the changes to actually emerge. So the energy that's happening, that has started 2020 off, that is happening, that is in the process of happening, is this Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And I'm just going to read you a few things that are Plutonic, because so Saturn is the planet, it sets us on our path. It rules responsibility, materialism, discipline, work, hard work, putting structure towards something in order to get it done. It's like the father archetype, okay? You have that energy. It's also called the Lord of Karma, because it's what we are forced to face in order to move forward, okay? So you have that energy blending with the energy of Pluto, okay? Pluto takes 282 years to do one orbit. So we only experience, like the Earth, to do one orbit around the sun. The Earth takes 365 days. Pluto takes 285 years. It's very slow. It's the deepest, most primordial, most powerful, potent energy of rebirth, destruction, and change, revolution. And so really what this energy is doing is it's mixing that energy of karma with this energy of death, rebirth, and revolution, and they are clashing, they are coming together. So there is a structure, there is a border, there is a held energy to this energy of rebirth and death and rebirth. Okay, so let's think about this. Okay, so how can we ride this wave that is happening? Okay, we can either, I'm going to give you some attributes of Pluto, and I'm going to tell you about the negative and the positive. And I'm going to so we can either see this energy as this death, annihilation energy that scares the crap out of us, or we can begin to open ourselves up to the new that is in the process of emerging. And that's what I really want you all to start to harness and believe in, is that nothing can change. The status quo is not working anymore, y'all. Y'all all know this. It's not working for humanity. It's not working for Mother Nature. It is not working anymore. And it's getting to such a peak of imbalance that there is a self-regulating system that is happening, and there has to be a breakdown in order for there to be a breakthrough. This is like any spiritual work I do with myself, with my clients. there has to be a breakdown, there has to be a death, there has to be a destruction period so that the new can emerge. And that is what we are in the midst of. So if we can hold to that truth and in the belief that this is all actually for the highest good of the planet and for ourselves, we can begin to ride this a little bit smoother, a little bit easier. Okay, so this energy can mark tribulation, or we can see it as a transformative period. Okay, we can see it as total destruction and be like losing our minds. Or we can see it as a new constructive energy that is emerging, that there is a new energy that we are not familiar with, that we don't know how to control, that we don't know what to do with, that is on the brink of emerging. It puts us face to face with our control. That is what Pluto rules. It's like obsession. It's like holding on. It's like absolute control and then absolute surrender. Look, think about the process of death and think about, my dad was in the process of dying for like many years, and he died a slow death that was really painful, and he wasn't ready to go, and he wasn't ready to let go, but and I did everything I could spiritually with him, but he let go at the time that was ready for him. And as I watched him decline, the thing that I realized was that and I've gone through this with my own process, because everything births and everything dies, and the easier it is for this process, this cycle to move through us, is the more that we can begin to surrender to the energy that wants to move, to the energy that is happening. So it's actually saying okay to whatever is in the midst of happening, holding the long view that there is a greater plan that actually is self-regulating, that is Mother Nature herself regulating herself, and that it actually is for the good of all, despite what it looks like currently. I know it's really, really, really hard to accept that or to even think that, but I implore you to do this, not for anyone other than yourself, so that there can be some kind of peace and less fear within the heart, and so that this pandemic wave that is in the midst of emerging can be ridden like smoothly, instead of this like right. So yeah, we can see this as a disintegration of society with a breakdown, or we can look at it as an emergence, an integration of new energies that are on the brink and on the horizon of emerging. All of this is holding to whether it's how we choose to interact with the world, with ourselves, and whether or not we fundamentally believe that there is a force, and this is a force that I'm talking about, that is outside of religion. It is not the God in the SKY, the sky. It is not the father figure God. It is everything. It is you, it is me, it is our breath, it is the universe, it is the cosmos, it's the truth. We use very little of our brain, but there is an energy, there is an entire world, there is an entire universe that we are a part of. And if we can start to believe deep in our systems that this is an energy that is based in love, and begin to allow whatever is happening, to radically accept whatever is happening, so that it can pass quicker, so that it can move faster, so that the wave can ride and wane. Because the more that we hold on, the tighter the grip is, the deeper the fear, the more we resist it, the harder and the slower and the more painful all of this will be. I've watched this with people who have given birth stories. I've watched it with people who have died, and it's that holding on. And the only way out, this is how I've lived so many lives in one life. I've literally lived in Morocco for 2.5 years in a tiny village. I lived in Alaska. I lived in grad school. I lived in tree houses in Hawaii. I've done everything. I'm now in LA. And I've lived many different lives, and each life there was a death period, there was a breakdown, and it was, there was always something inside of me that held to a force that was deeper than myself. So I allowed myself to go through these cyclical changes. I allowed myself to kind of move through whatever wanted to change, and simultaneously holding, a level of bravery. It takes a kind of bravery to hold to an invisible force that we cannot see and to believe in it. And it takes some levels of deep connection with the self, with spirit, holding in your own, at an altar, at a private space with a candle. Starting to connect with this force can bring real solace during this time. And if we can start collectively, energetically open up to allowing this energy, to radically accepting this energy so that it can pass faster, so that we can move through this evolution smoother, it will assist us all. It will assist you, it will assist me, it will assist us all. So this is my prayer. This is my little bit of help, how to ride the pandemic wave and why is this all happening. The more that we can trust that there is an equilibrium, that there is a feminine energy that is emerging. This is what I deeply believe in my heart of hearts, is that the feminine energy of the planet is emerging, and there has to be there's self-regulating mechanisms that the earth is holding to in order for this energy to come up. And we are feeling it, we are seeing it. Look at all of the amazing and incredible emergences of the past, 2 years. Look what has been happening with women. Look what has been happening with Bernie Sanders. Look what has been happening politically. Yes, there is so much darkness, but hold to the light. Look at the new. Feel the new construction, the new illumination, the new energy that is emerging, because whenever there is a breakdown, there is also a breakthrough. And whatever we focus on becomes our reality. So I would just advise and implore you all to go within the self and see how much you can begin to hold to something greater than yourself, a force of love, begin to trust in it and allow it to move through you, to you, and begin to focus on the parts of the self, the parts of humanity that are actually changing for the good, despite what all of the chaos and all of the fear that is upon us right now. So we are all one, and I know I keep saying this and it's like, yeah, whatever. It's like, we are. And I went into a FedEx today and I was just, Steve Winwood was on, like, bring me a higher love. And I was just like singing it. And all these people were like, you have such an awesome voice. And like, I was just changing the vibe in there, not even because I wanted to, just because I was like, we got to keep our spirits high. Like, energy. If you want to understand Nikola Tesla, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in frequency and vibration. How can we keep our vibration high? For me, it's trusting in this invisible force and watching it show up for me time and time and time again. This is my deepest prayer, sending you all so much deep compassion, love. I love you all. We're all in this together. Love.